Hello, I'm Barney Oldfeller. I'd like to tell you a story about a little lady who began life as a sweet little innocent farm girl in Missouri and ended by her destiny, I guess you would call it, by her ability to finagle and use her charms, became one of the richest women in northern Arizona. In fact, probably all of Arizona at that time. I'd like to tell you the story about Jenny Banter. I think you will enjoy it. This is the way Jerome looked in its worst decline in the 1960s, when it was a virtual ghost town. The mines had closed, most everybody had left. In fact, Phelps Dodge wishes they all had, because they were going to make an open pit out of the town. But the townspeople, a few of them, held on, and nobody would leave, and they wouldn't sell their property. So it stayed. And it's the very famous ghost town now. This is the back door to the cribs, the famous cribs. The wooden buildings were right on the back of there, and the doors led from the front street back into the cribs. One time, I understand, there was over 160 girls working the various houses in Jerome, because Jerome was a boom town, a fantastic boom town. Jenny was a striking woman who started out in Missouri. Her parents had died. None of her relatives seemed to much have anything to do with her. So she decided to make it on her own. Jenny finally caught a wagon train to Arizona. And at the time that Goldfield, down beside Superstition Mountains, was in its heyday, Jenny was right there among them. She learned all about food for favors, and soon had a thriving establishment going. Jerome now is a place where people come to that don't like the rest of society, and they thrive here. This is the old Bordello district, Tenderloin district they call it, with the body houses, and like the House of Joy. The House of Joy now is a restaurant, but at one time a very famous bordello with gambling and upstairs pleasures. In fact, all of the second street here was lined with the same buildings. Some good, some bad. There were opium dens. There was wide open gambling. Jerome never closed. It was 24 hours a day. It had over a population of over 15,000 at one time. This was back in the 1890s, a little before copper took a nosedive. Now Jenny kept her money in this fantastic bank, right next to the big landslide. The big slide that took the middle of town right out. And, I'm afraid, made quite a few more haunts. I believe there's probably more ghosts running around Jerome than any other town, because violent death was an everyday occurrence. whether by hanging or being the perpetrator in the first place. A very substantial building, because at that time, Jerome was the 5th largest city in Arizona. Italian masons put up a strong, very nice bank building, which still stands. Only economics is what ruined it. Quite a tourist spot now. A lot of crafts, shops, tin, copper. This is the old Marmon Studebaker dealership. And there was a Chevrolet dealership, Ford dealership, naturally. And Woolworth Company, J.C. Penney. Of course, this is a little later on. Cherry trees in full bloom, very early spring. Several little parks around now. They didn't have room for parks in those days. Every place that could put a building on, there was a building. Many businesses. Money flowed. They didn't call it $1 billion copper camp for nothing. This is one of Jenny's establishments. Very well built. Her first ones were burned down by the so-called elite or businessmen, jealous, because soon after Jenny arrived with 4 girls and rented a building complete, a wooden building, a small hotel, and opened up for business with a party, gambling, the whole works. And very soon she won the respect of all the mining community except for the businessmen and the pious. And of course they were always her enemy. But Jenny, like I said, was always a lady. And she knew what people liked, and she knew how to please. Now this building where I'm staying at tonight was a mortuary at one time, was a restaurant at one time, and several other things. And at one time, although the history don't tell about it, I believe this was a bordello. This is where they brought Jenny after her untimely death. Let me tell you what happened here, what happened to me. I have the whole upstairs all to myself. Sunday night, nobody around. I had shut all the doors upstairs, except my room, and I was taking pictures of the names on each door. So when I went back to the end, I took the Miss Kitty room and checked down the hall. Nobody around except this strong smell of rose perfume. And then, as I was taking a picture, the door to the Montana room opened up. The manager told me that that was the one that was stuck all the time. The people complained that they couldn't get open. But I had just shut it minutes before, and there was nobody in the room. Occasionally, you will see Jenny. If you look, she's still here. I don't think that she knows. She's supposed to go someplace else. Look down the hall, late at night. It's about midnight, maybe a little after. if you watch, you'll see Jenny going from room to room to check the girls out. Make sure everything's all right, nobody got beat up, and they're all asleep in their beds. Because Jenny ran a tight ship. But everybody wanted to work for her. And she was very wealthy. She bought a lot of jewelry, bought a lot of furs. Several times they were lost in the fires. Come up here in the middle of the week and stay here. See what you see. It'll spook you. All of the upstairs rooms are empty. The tourist season hasn't really got into full swing, but very soon there'll be somebody here every night. And then Jenny don't come around much. I'm going to go to bed and I'll tell you what happened here. I put my little derringer on the table and went to sleep. Heard somebody in the room. So I grabbed my flashlight, and sure enough, there was Jenny, curious about that little pistol. And whenever she realized that I was taking her picture, she kind of faded out. During the morning, there's no sign of her. There's no smell of rose perfume. And everything's back to normal. I've been around haints before, and they really don't bother me as long as they're not violent. Of course, there's a few that are further up on the hill around the hospital out here. Some of them up there will do you in or do you harm. But there ain't no sign of her. It's called the Miner's Roost Hotel, or the Jerome Inn. If you have a mind to, come up here and stay. It'd be real nice. The building was built in 1899. Lived about 5 years, 6 years before Jenny died. There's a gal, or maybe that's an apparition, walking across the park up there. I wonder. I'll watch it and see if she comes down the stairs. It looks like she's got a 1890s dress on. Kind of pale and looks very innocent. Well, she never did come down those stairs. It's kind of like Jerome looked when Jenny arrived and began her thriving business. Of course, she left quite often to go over to Gold Road, where she had a house over there. And I believe she had a place in Oatman. Smelters belching acid, sulfur smoke, destroying the hillsides and destroying the vegetation, but making a lot of money. And the people didn't care. Everything would grow back later. The Montana Hotel, supposedly the biggest hotel in Arizona. Didn't live long though, didn't stay long. Kind of like the Little Daisy. I think the Little Daisy was open about 10 years, then it closed. Montana, they tore it completely down. I guess it became unstable. The mule trains are arriving daily, hauling supplies to this thriving boomtown. And Jenny was getting her share. And people getting more jealous. During its boom, Jerome began to put up brick buildings, concrete buildings, and a nice row for the elite to live up on the hill, on the side of Cleopatra Hill. the fabulous boomtown, the fabulous Bonanza. The smelter didn't stay up here long. They finally moved it down into the valley, built a real modern smelter down in Clarkdale. I think Senator Clark had something to do with that. And it was the most modern, although it still belched sulfur smoke. Because that's the only way you can mine copper. This was Jenny's chief competitor, the fashion. They said that at their time, when they were going the best, they were selling a barrel of whiskey every hour. 5 bartenders going steady, gambling, waiters, tile sealing, copper tile. But Jenny just kept on with her small places. 6, 8 girls in an establishment. And in the meantime, she was buying other establishments. And not body houses. She was buying stores and restaurants and becoming more and more rich as time went by. Jealousy got to be pretty bad. And greed. One particular man, Mr. Jordan, who was her competitor, only in what he considered legitimate business, finally got her done in. Her boyfriend was a morphine addict, and Jenny was supplying this habit. Giving a lot of money to the church, too, at the same time. And still, she made more. Well, the boyfriend finally done Jenny in. Shot her 5 times with a pistol. The old Montana's gone now. All the thing, the foundation's still there. I guess Jenny's not uncomfortable. And if she likes you, you can see her. And I ain't kidding. Because she's still here. The town's not changed much. Nellie Bly is still going. They call it the Nellie Bly. This was her prime business. In fact, this is where she got done in. They hung old Lee. Well, they hung him up in Kingman so that the miners wouldn't get him here. Because Jenny was their pal. There's a lot of steps that don't go nowhere in Jerome now. And a lot of buildings that you don't dare step a foot in. You'll either fall through or maybe the Hanks will get you. You never know. Anyway, it's quite a place. And I'll see you around. Next time we go hunting. That's the story of the miner's pal, Jenny Banter. My name's Barney, old fella. Just after the Civil War, people began to move west entrepreneurs, miners, ranchers, people looking for fame and fortune. And they built cities, some big cities, some not quite so big. But they all had dreams that these cities, these towns, would last forever. Some of them on big gold strikes, some of them were built on ranching, silver mines, any kind of a thing that was a bonanza. I'd like to show you how a town called Canyon City, how it looked in its heyday, when it had dreams of being the capital of the state. And finally, what happened when the mines played out and the railroad pulled up its tracks. And then the desert reclaimed. I think you'll enjoy it. We'll call this a boom town. Of course, it wasn't planned to be a boom town originally. Originally, it was a Spanish town that had been left, for whatever reason. Maybe when the Spanish were expelled from Mexico, they abandoned their town north of the border. And the entrepreneurs arrived from the east shortly after the war. They reopened the silver mines. Hired a bunch of people to come in, began to build kind of permanent-like. Because like all bodies of ore, they never play out. They just get bigger. And then something else would come along, keep the town going. Even finally, after the town got a little civilized, they built them a adobe schoolhouse. And another blacksmith shop, because that's one thing you can't have too many of. You can always tell a schoolhouse. It's got George Washington's picture. A real civilized town. Oh, I imagine they still had their outlaws. Once in a while, a few rustlers. Started putting up some two-story buildings. Then, of course, you have to have your saloons. Cantina is about the only thing that held on from the old days when Mexico ruled it. It seemed every day, though, that new mines, new strikes, they just knew they were permanent. And like a lot of them, they were. Freight depot, needing supplies. Come from Tucson, maybe. Some stuff far back east. Mining did a lot of assaying, panning, checking out new bodies, new loads, new veins. It's nice, a little spring run right through town. Ready water supply. And a whole river fairly close. When the stage come in, that's a big occasion. Everybody come out to see it. About twice a week. Sometimes 3 times. The other town was booming. Getting bigger by the minute. And so the need for maybe a new jail. I wonder if he's waiting to get out or waiting for the hanging. I see he's carved a Valentine or a heart with Mom, counting the days on the wall. Some of the old architecture is reminiscent of the Spanish. They got themselves a dentist. But sometimes he had to double as a doctor. And here old Doc Holliday was a dentist. Ha! I wonder. Freight wagons. An everyday occurrence. Town's getting bigger. A few of the Mexicans are moving back in, kind of repairing their old church. They'll find a job, mucking in the mine. Maybe go to work for some freight outfit. Or they could just grow food. The hot desert. If you had something like that, it would make it real nice. Make a good living at it. Year-round good temperature, so except for the summertime when it gets a little hot. So we have an open-air bar. Don't happen to be nobody here today. I guess there's somebody gone to church. You didn't need a lot to open a bar. You had a barrel of whiskey. That's about it. And maybe a couple of barrels of beer. A couple of tables. Something to stand behind. Place to keep your spare shotgun. Quite a spot. Some of the buildings are leftovers. If the town continues to grow, medical supply, wow. Of course now there's maybe a little decay here, but somebody will come along and remodel, and pretty soon this will be a going business again. Prosperous Bank, even got them a firehouse. That means that they are going to stay. Oh, they're planning. As long as the money's good. church. Maybe to keep people from sinning a little bit. Because it's mighty easy to slip into sin, what I understand, in these old towns. Even the railroads brought the prize steam engine in. Gotta have it to haul the ore out. A lot easier than sending it to the smelter by wagon. And profitable for the railroad. Profitable for the miners. Profitable for the whole town. Looks kind of permanent. As long as that silver holds out. Wonder where he's headed. Think maybe Bisbee? Douglas? I understand there's a heck of a big copper mine down that way. But the way this place is growing, won't be no time. It'll be bigger than either one of them. Adding some passenger cars. I understand there's a lot of cattlemen interested in this area too. Buying some of the old Spanish land grants close by. Or you can get them for some. Bring in some of that eastern beef. And here they got some beef coming in from England, called Hereford. I don't know whether they can make it out here or not. They're red and they got white faces. Stocky little things. See, we're even prosperous enough here to have us a second blacksmith. This is a wheel shrinking machine here. Now, a metal wheel as runs over the tracks, over the road, will begin to grow. And you put it in there, pull it back and forth, the cog takes up the distance and squeezes the metal together. Of course, after you take it out of the forge. It don't take but no time for an expert to shrink a wheel. I don't know. A lot of the ghosts of the old town, the old Spanish town, is still here. I wonder if the town will hold up. I hear tell the silver's playing out. As the years go by, it'll eventually close down. And this is about all you'll see. Somebody come by here 100 years from now, and there won't be nothing left. Just desert again. It'll take it over again. Oh, but the people don't hurt them. They'll go away. Start a new town, someplace else. But that's the way it is. That's the way it was. There still may be ore up there, very rich. Maybe they never found the mother lode. But they could live and they die, maybe 10 years. Maybe the next town will be the capital.